Hi everybody, and welcome to ZTV Live. I'm Susan Mulligan-Fleischman. Today's Wednesday, August 12th. And just give me a quick little hello, make sure everybody can hear me okay. That would be great. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Jane Collins is back with her 10 Questions program, and her guest tonight is Dr. Gregory C. Hutchings, Jr., the Superintendent of Alexandria City Public Schools. Jane will be asking 10 questions, both personal and professional, and we're really looking forward to what Dr. Hutchings has to share with us. But first, before we get to Jane and Dr. Hutchings, let me read you a couple of words from our sponsors. This episode of ZTV Live is sponsored in part by Taste of Asia, which includes Japanese, Chinese, and Thai food. Try their excellent sushi or one of their specialties, including eggplant and garlic sauce, pineapple fried rice, and hot and sour soup. We're also sponsored by Dishes of India and the Bellevue Shopping Center in Alexandria, winner of the Zebra Reader's Choice Award for Best Indian Food. Check their website for daily specials at dishesofindia.com, available for curbside pickup or delivery. Please note their temporary COVID hours. And by Tempo Restaurant, Alexandria's best-kept secret on Duke Street in the West End. Specializing in Northern Italian and French cuisine, award-winning Tempo has indoor dining again. Visit temporestaurant.com to see their menu, including beer and wine to go. If you'd like to become a sponsor or advertise on ZTV Live, please send us an email at ads@thezebrapress.com. That's ads@thezebrapress.com. Thank you, and thank you everybody who's chiming in and saying hello so far. Bridget Brown, one of our favorite and most loyal viewers. Patty Stang, hello. Thank you so much for chiming in. Anybody else out there watching, please shoot us a hello, let us know, engage in the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. I'm going to bring Jane Collins on the air right now. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Susan. Hello from Deep Creek, Maryland.
Oh, Deep Creek, Maryland. How lovely.
It's beautiful here.
That's great. And I think you mentioned that there were some storms coming through the area, so we'll be on the lookout in case we lose a signal. Everybody hang in there, and Jane will attempt to call back in case she loses power.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, terrific. Well, I will waste no time, and let's bring Dr. Hutchings on the line as well. Hello, Dr. Hutchings. Welcome to ZTV Live.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, Jane, I'm going to let you take it away with Dr. Hutchings now.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Well, hi to you, Dr. Hutchings. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Surviving.
Yeah, I bet. Well, thanks for coming tonight because this is an incredibly busy time. And we'll start right in with the questions. The first one being your board passed your proposal for Virtual Plus as how you will be operating the schools this year. Would you please explain that to everybody?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I have to say, and I shared this with the board and our community last week, that there really is no right and wrong in this particular situation. We really have to focus on what is feasible for our school division. And the Virtual Plus for the start of the year on September 8th is the most feasible option for us. And really what we're focusing on is, yes, it's 100% virtual experience for our students. But the plus is what's key in this proposal or in this now reopening plan, and that is the fact that we are going to focus on ensuring that social, emotional, and academic learning supports are available for our students. Because we learned from March through June that everyone did not have access to their teachers, and everyone didn't have access to the additional academic supports or even the social and emotional supports with dealing with the global pandemic continuously. So we want to ensure that happens with this Virtual Plus model. We're also looking at ensuring that we have some child care opportunities for our most vulnerable families. One thing that we've heard from many families is when you have, two parents working or single parents who are working outside of the home, that there are concerns about their children being at home alone and not having school available brings some challenges. And we're working with our community partners and our child care providers to talk through some solutions to provide our families, particularly our most vulnerable families, because it is limited in regards to what we can offer and what we can do because we have to follow the CDC guidelines. Another area with our Plus focuses on enhancing our technology. And one area that we do know is, technology when you're virtual is your lifeline from home to school. And we have to ensure that all of our students have access to technology devices as well as to internet services. And we are extending now or expanding our technology devices from just 3 through 12, because it used to be just grades 3 through 12, to now pre-K through 12. So our students in pre-K through second grade will now receive tablets and Chromebooks so that they can also be engaged in synchronous learning and asynchronous learning during this virtual plus period. And then also our meal distribution and ensuring that we are providing meals to our students. And I just want to give a shout out to our nutritional team, because we have been providing over 30,000 meals per week for our families since March. And that has been extremely, one, impressive, and two, a need that our families had within ACPS. And then finally, I want to just talk to making sure we have our multi-language line, because we have, 30% of our students are English learners in Alexandria City Public Schools, which means we have families who also don't speak English as a first language, and we want to ensure that they're engaged and that they're informed about our work and what we're doing in ACPS. So we will have a language line that will be for our families.
That's an incredible amount of work you and your team have put into that. So thank you for just the thought that has gone behind that decision, and good luck with you as you execute the school year.
Yes, I think our team, this work has started in regards to our timeline. We started this planning back in May, and we expected to have the plan presented to the board on August 7th. On August 14th, which is this Friday, we're going to be submitting our plan to the Virginia Department of Education. And we spent the whole month working with thought partners and with our cross-functional planning teams who are experts, in different categories and different fields to help us to really be innovative with this approach, because we're like in uncharted waters, like we are tackling challenges that nobody would have ever imagined. I think this is probably the most demanding, uncertain, complicated time that I've ever had in my life, and most definitely in my career. And my superintendent colleagues share that same sentiment. So I know it's going to be important for us to just stay the course, to make sure that we're allowing ourselves to have some grace and some flexibility, because things change, every day in regards to, approaches that could and could not happen. So I'm looking forward to the future and very hopeful that this Virtual Plus will allow us to engage our students.
Well, good luck with that. Thank you. Now, as you know, in 10 questions, we alternate between professional questions like Virtual Plus and personal questions about you. So, and also I want to say to the viewers, if you have any questions for Dr. Hutchings, please type them in the comment box. They may appear on the show, or they may show up in 5 more questions, which is something that will be posted in the Zebra in the next couple days. But are you ready for your first personal question?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, ready.
Oh, this is a good one. But it's not the one you're thinking of. What do people get wrong about you?
I think a lot of times people think that I don't have emotions and I don't have feelings because a lot of times people get to see me at the dais. When they see the public me at the dais, I'm reporting out or I'm answering questions in regards to what the board is asking and what kind of what's happening in regards to our community. But I really have a good time. I like to laugh, I do care what people think. It does bother me sometimes. I've learned how to be resilient and get over things. I mean, you have to in this business. You can't take anything personally. But I am a human being. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a son. And I think that, sometimes with that title of superintendent and having to be in the public eye often, people forget that you're also a human being and you have emotions and you have feelings and, that you care. And I genuinely, I'm one of those people who, sometimes I say I care hard, because I truly care about our young people. I take those things to heart and it becomes a part of my life's work. So, I'm just passionate about, what I do. But I think that's something that people just don't really know, that I have emotions, that, that I am a human being, that I can laugh, I can joke, I can play, I can hang out, I can relax, I can let things go. And that, I can have a good time with my family, which I enjoy doing.
Well, and that's what this show is about. So hopefully in the next 30 minutes, people will get to see a little bit about you, because you and Susan and I, we had a lot of fun between 6:30 and 7 warming up for the show.
We did.
So, let the party continue, right? So here's back to the professional question. You had said that you believe it is every student's right to have a high quality education. So how are you providing that during the pandemic and all its challenges?
Yes, it brings a lot of challenges, as I stated before, but the main focus is making sure that we have synchronous learning, where it's live instruction with our licensed educators, and that we're introducing material to our students, that we're going to have a common curriculum with our Virtual Plus, which is very different than what we did in the spring, where it was a lot more flexibility for staff. Some students didn't really get to interact with staff members at all, and others did daily, and some once a week, and it varied. We're being a lot more structured with our Virtual Plus and ensuring that from Tuesday through Friday of each week, that students have opportunities to interact with staff members, and that they also have opportunities to interact in small groups, because in the spring, it was just the whole class. Some kids really need smaller learning environments and sometimes one-on-one instruction to really grasp the material we're introducing to our students. So this Virtual Plus is going to allow us to do that. And another area that's going to be very important for us to ensure that our students are learning is providing social and emotional learning opportunities during the day on Tuesday through Friday, but also on Mondays for some of our students who just need additional supports in regards to social and emotional needs. As adults are having a difficult time adjusting to this global pandemic. I mean, I'm like a hugger, right? I can't hug anybody, right? I can't. I get energy from people, and I'm not around people. So I had to make some adjustments, even in my own personal life. So I know our young people are having some of those challenges too, that they're really not understanding. And we want to make sure that we're giving them some strategies and some skills to help them really think through, how do you work through this global pandemic? How do you work through feelings of loss, or I can't be around my friends, or I can't go outside and play, or I can't do the sport that I've always been, love to do in the past. So we want to make sure that we're providing the appropriate nurturing of a healthy social and emotional level for our students, and I think that's a really strong area too.
Well, it's such a holistic approach, and getting back to you wanting people to know that you're a human being with feelings and not just the superintendent. You were the high school prom king at TC Williams.
I was.
And there's a picture coming up. So tell us all about that.
So, I was, the prom king, and that honestly was a really huge honor. I'm once the prom king, always the prom king. When we went back to our 10-year reunion, I'm like, I'm still the prom king, everybody, no matter what you say.
And you don't look any different.
It's hilarious, though. It was exciting. It was 25 years ago, believe it or not, when I was prom king. It was class of '95 at TC Williams, but it was a huge honor because I know our student body is who votes on who the prom king and queen are, and I was honored to be selected for the prom king. A great honor for me.
Uh-huh. And you still are. Do you know who the prom queen was, and are you still in touch with her?
So I'm not in touch, but she was actually my girlfriend at the time.
Oh.
So it was girlfriend, boyfriend, prom king, and queen. Didn't work out. We broke up sophomore year in college. But I don't really keep in contact with her. But we do have the same friends. So
yeah.
I mean, we've known each other since the 6th grade.
Yeah. Well, what a perfect
hilarious.
high school story, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so back to, and we'll talk later about all the time you've spent in Alexandria. How are you promoting and ensuring racial equity in the Alexandria City Public Schools?
Well, I think one thing that's so important is our board just adopted our strategic plan 2025, where equity for all and specifically racial equity is the heart of our work. And we're calling this plan courageous and bold, and I am so excited about it because racial equity really is the core issue in regards to us dismantling systemic racism and narrowing the achievement gap and the opportunity gap that has been pervasive in Alexandria City Public Schools since we integrated in the 60s. And I think it's going to be very important for us to stay that course. And one area that we are specifically going to focus on is becoming an anti-racist school division. And having anti-racism training for all of our staff members as well as for our students is in the works. Having specific metrics to monitor our progress towards becoming an anti-racist school division, and really starting with the policies and practices that we have in place that unfortunately have perpetuated some of the disparities that we see in Alexandria City Public Schools. But we are having the courage to do this, and I truly believe that the board is behind this. They adopted this plan, unanimously in June, and I'm just looking forward to this work. It's going to be some powerful work. It's going to be hard too. Action speaks louder than words, and I think we talked a lot about this in the past. Now it's time for us to really put action into this work, and I know that we have the team and the board and the community that's ready for it, especially with the climate of our nation right now. This is the time to really show that not only Black Lives Matter, but our brown lives matter too in ACPS, and we're going to have to start owning some of the inequities that we have allowed to be a part of Alexandria City Public Schools for so long. We're going to have to own it, and we're going to have to dismantle it, and that's the only way we're going to see the progress we're seeking.
Yeah. Well, we're actually about halfway through the show. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. It's wow, that was fast.
I know. But again, to the viewers, if there's a question you want to ask Dr. Hutchings, just type it in the comments section, and either we'll address it on the show or we'll address it perhaps in the 5 more questions part that will be on the Zebra in a couple of days. And Dr. Hutchings, getting back to as a corollary to what you were talking about dismantling racism, what is your plan for the issue of renaming T.C. Williams High School, which is where you were the prom king, by the way?
That's right. I was prom king, and I was actually advocating and talking about the name T.C. when I was a student.
Really?
At T.C. Williams, yeah. So in the 90s, we didn't have confirmation that Thomas Chambliss Williams was a racist and segregationist, and we just didn't know if it was a rumor or if it was truth, but we were talking about it at that time. We didn't have Google and everything to go research this. It was kind of like, is it an urban myth or is it real? And we felt some kind of way about that when I was a student. And I just, with this whole renaming process, I'm going to be presenting to the board on August 27th about a timeline that I hope will allow us to engage our community around who Thomas Chambliss Williams is, because some people don't even know who T.C. Williams is. And I think it's so important for us, if we're going to, if the board decides to rename, our high school, that the community understands why that renaming is occurring, and not assuming that we're doing this because everybody else is doing it. We want them to truly understand the raw history of this man who literally did not want Black and white children under the same roof learning. He over his dead body, that was literally his stance. He had to be removed out of the superintendency for integration to even occur in Alexandria City Public Schools, and he was the superintendent for 30 years, from 1930 to the mid 60s. For 30 years he was superintendent. So it's going to be very important for us to make sure we're educating our community and to allow our students to lead this work. I've gotten a lot of emails recently from, a lot of community members and some of our parents, and I really want us to let's let our young people kind of take this on. Let us, if we're going to change our name, let us change the name, because our young people say this is not right for us. This is not what we want in Alexandria City Public Schools. And I feel like as adults, we have to step aside and allow them to leave. I think that's going to be so powerful for them. And I always take it back to when I was at T.C. Williams and a student there in 10th grade when I was 15. I literally had to do a petition to get in honors courses because I did not meet the testing requirements at that time. and I was determined to get an honor. So I went around and got my classmates to sign this petition. I took it to my principal at that time, Mr. John Porter, who I'm still friends with and colleagues with today, who is, the John Porter. He took me down and enrolled me in honors, right? That changed the trajectory of my entire life. So I know and understand the power of your voice, especially if you have somebody on the other end who can open doors for you or remove barriers for you. And that is what I want us to be for our young people. I want us to be able to remove these barriers, allow them to lead this movement, allow their voices to be heard, allow them to understand the truth about our history. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly around our history. And then we make a decision on what needs to happen. And I believe that our board will make the right decision. I know that we stand for in Alexandria City Public Schools, racial equity being the heart of, everything that we do. This is going to be a really good example of, do we truly believe that? So I'm looking forward to seeing us through this process, but let our kids lead. Let our kids lead the way.
Yeah. What a wonderful way to approach that. And actually, the next question you already answered. You had said in high school you had a life-changing event, which you had just mentioned about wanting to get in the honors course, and how you encourage students now. So it sounds like you took that event where you petitioned to be in honors and Mr. Porter helped you, and that imprinted on you the power of your voice, and now you're giving that opportunity to the kids at TC Williams.
That's right. And that's the goal. I mean, I think to me, that is, how it's supposed to be. When somebody opens a door for you, my philosophy is, now that I'm in a position to actually make a difference, that I open the door for others, and that I ensure that, especially our young people, because they really are the next generation of leaders. They're going to be the next president of the United States, in the future. They're going to run businesses and be the doctors and the lawyers and the teachers and the custodians and everything else that allows us to operate as a school division and as a country and as a world. So it's our job to make sure that we are stepping out of the way. We're providing them with the necessary support, but we're letting them guide us. I think that we have gone through life, many adults, with so many of the biases, that whether they're implicit or explicit biases, that we're at a point now where it's a lot more difficult for us to be anti-racist. Not that it's not possible, right? Because I work on it every day, even within my own self, to try to be an anti-racist, right? Our young people, they are even more impressionable, and their experience is so different from the adults, who've had all these other challenges and obstacles along the way, and brainwashing that has occurred, in regards to ideology around people, that they really are the hope. So I want to do what was done for me. It's kind of like you pass the torch. This is my opportunity to make sure I'm passing the torch, opening the door, and giving the support so that our young people can lead and be successful. So not just lead to nowhere, but lead with a purpose and achieve a goal that I know will change the trajectory of Alexandria City Public Schools for years to come.
This is going to be so exciting to follow.
It really is. I agree.
Yeah. So speaking of, as you prepare to go into the Virtual Plus model, have you noticed that there's been an increase in the interest in homeschooling, and how is ACPS supporting or addressing that?
So we've always had some interest in homeschooling in Alexandria City Public Schools, and we work through that with, our families. We have our student services department that actually works with our families to ensure that they're meeting the Virginia guidelines in regards to homeschooling. I haven't seen a significant number of requests coming in, as of right now in regards to that, but we have seen a few requests coming in about homeschooling. I feel that families need to do what they believe is best for their children and what they believe is best for the learning environment that they have within their home. So we want to make sure that if a family does choose to provide homeschooling, that we provide them with the necessary resources and the supports so that they can be successful with this journey that they're providing their children. So we support homeschooling, and we make sure that our families have the resources that they need.
Okay, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but you're pretty much Alexandrian through and through. You grew up here. Do you live here, and do you have family here still?
Yes, we still live here. My wife, she was adamant about living in Old Town because it's walkable. So we're in Old Town, which I love. I love the Old Town area. I didn't grow up in the Old Town area, but we live there now. And I still have my aunt and uncle who are here. on Taney Avenue. Carrie and Tommy Thompson, they have been on Taney Avenue since the late 60s, and my Uncle Tommy, he is a retired principal from Fairfax County Public Schools. My Aunt Sis, her name is Carrie, but I call her Aunt Sis. She is a retired teacher from Fairfax County Public Schools, and I still am in contact with them, and I love being able to see them. They're in their 80s right now.
Wow.
But they still keep up with everything that's going on. I still get text messages from my aunt who's like, I read an article about, she sends text, she texts, and she's on Facebook all the time. She's probably on this call right now, but she always sends me text messages if she's read an article, or she's like, I want to give you some advice about this, so it's really good to have my family here. My mom, unfortunately, moved to Ohio when I became superintendent in Ohio.
Oh, where in
and she's
Ohio?
Still in Ohio. So I was in Shaker Heights, Ohio, as superintendent.
That's right.
And now she's in Shaker Heights. And when I got the job here, I was like, Mom, are you moving back with us? And she was like, well, the cost of living there is so expensive. I'm going to stay here and I'll come visit you every month until the global pandemic, So I haven't seen my mom since March, but she was here every month, to visit just for the weekend. She would come for the weekend, fly in. It's a 50-minute flight. So I'm really looking forward to, getting back to some normalcy where I can at least see my mom in person and not via Zoom or on FaceTime, by phone.
Yeah, I have a mom in Ohio too, and I'm going to see her next week.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So, Susan, were you able to put the picture up of Dr. Hutchings and his family?
I was, yes. I didn't put the one of the four of them up yet, but yeah, I did put the picture. It's a beautiful picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
That picture was, that picture was, it was taken a few months ago. That was our quarantine wedding anniversary dinner. So we were at home. So April 20th, my wife and I celebrated 18 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And we were home, and we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do for our anniversary? So I was like, I have all this, don't worry about it. I have everything planned out. And I ordered, I bought her a dress online. I bought my daughter, she helped me, my daughter a dress, my son, his outfit that he has on. I already had a tuxedo, because, I have tuxedos already. And then I ordered dinner, set up the house, got roses, and I made it a priceless moment, I think. My wife, she was just like almost in tears, like, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. But it was a memorable wedding anniversary because, family does mean a lot, and especially putting up with me. I tell my wife all the time. She's been with me we've been together since 1999, so 21 years.
Wow.
So we've been married 18, and so she's been able to see me grow into the person that I am today. I truly believe that I wouldn't be who I am today without my wife, because she kind of pushed me in ways to be better. I think I was always good. My mom did a good job, having a good, solid foundation. But I think my wife brought the best out of me and refined me. She refined me even more. So I always tell her that, I'm who I am because of, the woman I married.
Oh, you're such a romantic too. You're a hopeless romantic. Is she watching? Is your wife watching this?
I don't know. She might be. She's at the mall right now. I told her she had to take the kids out because it was like, where are we going to walk? Because it's raining. So they have to walk around the mall with their mask on. So they'll be back. But she may be watching. I hope maybe they're watching. And my mother-in-law may be watching. And my mom might be watching too. So hello
well,
to everybody.
This will be on the Zebra Facebook page for, tomorrow and indefinitely, really. And then we'll link to it in the Facebook or in the Zebra follow-on story. We actually have time for just one more question. So, and that is, from your vantage point, what can Alexandrians do to make our community better and stronger?
So what can Alexandrians do to make our city better and stronger? I think us really continuing to collaborate and to really work to tackle the racial inequities that we have. We have to own the fact that slavery started right here in the city of Alexandria. And we don't talk about that a lot. It's a painful, historical moment for us in the city of Alexandria. But we have to just own that horrible truth that we have. And we really have to educate ourselves on some of the systemic racism that we have, even in 2020, in the city of Alexandria. And we have to set aside, defensiveness or, the privilege that many of our residents have in our city. Set that aside and say, you know what? There are things that I can do within myself to make this city even better than it is. And if we all can take a vow to do that, I believe we can be one of the best cities in the world to live, to raise kids, to go to school, to work, to play. I think that could become a reality. We're well on our way already. It's just a matter of us making that commitment to really tackle the systemic racism that continues to exist in Alexandria.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hutchings. So beautifully said. So
Definitely.
This is it. Thank you for joining us.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jane. I'm going to interrupt. There's one question that I think a lot of viewers want to know. I'm getting messages right and left, and it's about the tree at T.C. Williams. I don't think they want to wait until the additional questions. And the question is there anything you can do to help save that 150-year-old tree on the edge of the football stadium, because it means it clearly means so much to so many people. And I know the Zebra has been reporting on this too.
Yeah. And that this one is really a tough one too, because we talked about the tree when we got our DSUP permit a couple of years ago, and that was a tough decision that we had to make in order to be able to really renovate and to redo our stadium project. So we are having a meeting about that. This Monday we'll be able to share out the timeline and the information around why it has to be this coming Monday, and I think our community will be able to get some more information then. But it is unfortunate, but it was definitely something that we had included in our DSUP hearing that occurred in the fall of 2018, about 2 years ago.
Great. Thanks, Susan, for bringing that question up.
I'm
That's
glad you
been
brought that
every
up,
news
too.
outlet in Alexandria. So,
Very true.
well, Dr. Hutchings, thank you. This was a great interview. I hope you come back on again. There's just every question. There's just so many more questions that follow on with it. And it's just been so fun talking to you and getting to know you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you too. And I appreciate just the opportunity to be able to be on here and to talk.
Yeah, thank you. So everybody stay tuned. Watch out for the Zebra. The 5 more questions with Dr. Hutchings will be out in a couple of days. Back to you, Susan.
Terrific, Jane. Thank you so much. Dr. Hutchings, it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for coming on the program. And obviously with this kind of groundbreaking year that we're facing in your school system, we would absolutely love to welcome you back whenever you'd like to. So thank you so much, and enjoy. And those pictures of your anniversary were really great, and I hope all the men out there pick up a little something from that.
Right? Yeah.
And the women too. It's nice to do something a little bit special and out of the box. So Jane, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. And Dr. Hutchings, have a good evening as well.
Yeah,
and that is going to do it for us for the ZTV Live tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your questions and your comments and your greetings. We really appreciate it. We love to hear from you. Please join us tomorrow night for the Virginia Amos Show. Virginia's guest is Elizabeth Briggs. She's a English teacher at George Washington Middle School. So we'll be talking a little bit about, from a teacher's perspective, about what the new year is going to look like. So please join us right back here at 7 o'clock again. And until then, remember to be the good news in someone's life.